is it about speed? Do these rivals chase speed because they can? Or because they can't help it? IndyCar. The heart of racing. Go to IndyCar.com for live timing and scoring, upcoming race details, and to join the conversation.
So far in the 16th Street Racing League, we have seen one oval and one road course and one winner today. That guy is Tim Holgate, who has been dominant so far in the 2015 season, as we welcome you to Verizon Countdown to Green here on RaceSpot TV and on iRacing Live and on IndyCar.com. Drivers are currently out on track for closed course qualifying. They have 2 laps to go as fast as they possibly can. We'll talk to you about qualifying results in a moment's time. This track, it is fast, it is furious. These guys are going to have to hold on as the lights are on at the track that was built by Rusty Wallace and has become a hallmark of the Verizon IndyCar Series. It's back. 2016. We'll talk about the 2016 schedule as well on Verizon Countdown to Green. Will Winton with Aaron Likens, Paul Jenkins once again. Aaron, this is the bull ring of IndyCar racing.
This is one of the drivers' favorite stops on the tour because you can pass low, you can pass high. There are so many lanes here, and one of the things that makes this track unique is the crossover. We're going to see crosses and double crosses. And one thing that the drivers are going to have to do is when you pass on the inside, you may have to lift off the throttle just a little bit to keep that car on the inside, because if you go in full tilt, you're going to come up, the driver you just passed is going to be able to use the banking and double cross you down the back straightaway. So drivers are going to have to time their move. But if you lift, drivers on the outside are going to get a run off the banking. A little bit of progressive banking here. But one thing, Will, that we're going to talk about, that dreaded bump in one.
Yeah, that turn and one bump has really been the focus of so many sim racing events here in IndyCar action over the course of the last 3 years since the track was brought to iRacing.com service. And Paul, we all know that you want to dive down low into turn one, but the issue is if you hit that bump, the car's going to come the racetrack lane. So the guy on the outside, it's got to give a little bit of give as soon as the laps start to wear down, and we've got ourselves today a good number of them. As soon as those laps start to roll on, the gap between the inside lane and the outside lane, that's going to come closer and closer together.
There are a lot of cars on this track, and as you had mentioned, you might not always have the lane you want in turn one, so people are going to have to figure out a way around that bump. It's going to take a lot of heads-up driving. There is no escape. There is going to be, I think we've got 34 cars on the line for this. And it is going to be just crazy. There is no escape. You're always going to be dealing with traffic. You're always going to be dealing with cars around you or near you. And you're going to be doing it at a breakneck speed. So as Aaron was saying, this track does offer a lot of opportunities for passing, and there's a lot of places you can put the car. But remember now, with this many cars, there's going to be a lot of rubber placed down on the track. And that line is going to move around as this day goes on. So we'll have to keep an eye on and see what these guys do to contend with the changing track conditions.
We'll talk about qualifying in a moment's time. It looks like it's going to be an three drivers there on the top 3 spots there of the grid for Snake Pit Racing. Your highest non-Snake Pit Racing driver will be P number 4, Vic Cordes, with Martin Miller for Banshee Autosport and Alex Simpson for Apex Racing UK running at the top 5. We'll talk about that in a moment's time, but first we'll have a look at the 2016 Verizon IndyCar Series schedule. And well, we start at the same place as we have done for the last couple of years. The street of St. Petersburg. It will be on ABC on March 13th. We finish, like we did last year, at Sonoma Raceway. That will be September 18th on the NBC Sports Network. But in between, there are a lot of races. Some old, some new, some historic. We go back to Phoenix International Raceway on April 2nd for the first time in a couple of years. We go to Road America for the first time since 2007. We go to the streets of Boston for the first time. And of course, Sam, there's this very small event which is known as the 100th running of the Indy 500, May 29th on ABC.
Yeah, that race, the 100th, the 2011 event, the Centennial race, that was a big deal, of course, won by Dan Weldon, but the 100th running, of course, a couple years off due to World War I, World War II, so a few years behind from the first Indy 500, but the winner of the 100th Indy 500, that's going to be a name to remember. Of course, winning any Indy 500 is a big event, but to win the 100th, that's going to be something everybody remembers. As well, who would have thought when they laid out the track in a field west of downtown Indianapolis over 116 years ago? What was Carl Fisher thinking? Would he have thought that there'd be 100 runnings and every year 300,000 people from around the world descend on what was just a pasture? Now is seen over, well, going to see its 100th 500-mile race. So just thinking about it, I'm getting chills. We're just, about 7-8 months away.
So, and it is the largest sporting venue in the world, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, which of course is the cornerstone of the 2016 Verizon IndyCar Series schedule. In May, you've got yourself the Angie's List Grand Prix of Indianapolis qualifying and the Indy 500 all on ABC. We've got ourselves 5 events on ovals, 5 events on road courses, 6 events on a street course. Reason why there's the 6th event, of course, after Indy, we go to Detroit Motor City, also on ABC, the only doubleheader of the year at Belle Isle Park.
And that's always a proven to be an exciting race, the Detroit Duel. And a very treacherous track traditionally at Detroit. Patience pays off, and so does a strong back. Very rough track out there.
Well, as I say, you can download the entire 2016 Verizon IndyCar Series schedule, and that is available on IndyCar.com. Don't forget, live streaming of all races will be available with IndyCar 16, presented by Verizon. If you couldn't be bothered to listen to what we've just said over the last couple of minutes, here's a little video to kind of sum up 2016 and the Verizon IndyCar Series. We'll be back with qualifying, the grid, the race after this. This has been Verizon Countdown to Green.
Yes, it all starts here. It's opening day for the Verizon IndyCar Series.
From St. Petersburg, Florida, new cars, some new faces, and an old, solid group of veterans and winners.
Get ready, stay with them here.
They call it the Valley of the Sun. They're running laps at 155 miles an hour.
Long Beach, California, a beautiful destination city with a huge sandy beach, great marinas, cruise ships, and once a year, the Verizon IndyCars.
The spectacular undulating Barber Motorsports Park Indy Grand Prix of Alabama.
The acceleration begins.
The new champion of the Grand Prix of Indianapolis is...
Everyone wants to win. Only one will.
And with those millions watching around the world.
By the way, it's the biggest race of your lives, gentlemen.
Here in the Motor City, in the first of the duel in Detroit.
Business is picking up at turn 7 at Belle Isle.
And the green flag waves at Texas Motor Speedway.
All right, let's go.
Wheel to wheel at 210 miles an hour.
And Honda versus Chevy.
Green flag in the Air Green. Sebastian Bourdais is the leader. In the core of America's heartland is a tiny track that packs a speedy IndyCar punch like no other.
Green, green, green.
Well, let's go racing in Iowa.
He needs a penalty.
This is Indy Toronto and the green flag flies.
Where he's making a move, but he's going to make him go to the west.
Deep into turn 3. And maybe too deep.
to the Buckeye State. Drivers, start your engines!
There is a giant crowd at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course.
All right, that's it. Excellent job, young man. Excellent job. You won Mid-Ohio.
tricky triangle. It's definitely very tricky.
Look at this pack now. He's not giving him anything. That's how you're supposed to race.
Over Labor Day weekend of 2016, we will welcome and host the Grand Prix of Boston.
It's the Indy Grand Prix of Sonoma. It's the championship decider. It's time to bring the action.
Race fans, there they are.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to this round number 3 of the 2015 16th Street Racing League on RaceSpot TV, iRacing Live, and on IndyCar.com. Cars are lined up on the starting grid, and it is a Snake Pit Racing lockout on the front row. You've got yourself Niles Anders, pole position, 3/1000ths of a second back is Tim Holgate, then Vic Cordell. Number 2 alongside him is Martin Miller. We head on back, and you notice here that this seems to be a track where Snake Pit Racing from nowhere have come up with the goods in qualifying. But one thing we need to talk about, Paul, qualifying at this track is one thing, racing is another. The big question will be downforce for these drivers. You know what, downforce? But early in the run, make sure they can move themselves up positions, or do they want it for late in the run when they need to be, when the field gets separated out and they can start picking people off one at a time?
Well, and it's all about maneuverability at this place, but you need to take care of the tires too. You're almost constantly turning at this place, so it's very rough on the tires. And if you're too aggressive too early on, you can find yourself really having trouble towards the end of the run if we get there. Expect a lot of yellows in this race. I would imagine that these guys this close together, it's just going to be some really tight and difficult racing. These guys have a long day ahead of them, and you know, even though qualifying is important, I mean, consider that the back of the field is going to be half lap down when the front guys take the green. So but it's going to be strategy that wins the day here.
Yeah, so you can see it's a packed field here at Iowa Speedway. Drivers now are just about to work themselves on 2 warm-up laps. Because this track is less than 1 mile in length, they will do 2 and not 1 warm-up lap. We have 1 car who will be starting this event from pit road. We'll give you any breaking stories coming up from pit road in just 1 moment's time. And I believe that you've got Michael Peters down there. He will be starting in that number 3 car down on pit road. That can be the safest place, but it'll likely put him a lap down in the early going of this event, Aaron.
Yeah, and looking at the starting field, well, 0.2 of a second separates pole from 26th, which starting 26th is Kyle Kaiser, finished 6th in the Indy Lights Championship in 2015, but only 0.2 separates 1st to 26th. I can't recall a field that closely bunched. So this is going to be a very ferocious race that's going to dictate strategy. Short pitting here, I don't think you can. You can't risk doing what Young O always did and go to the back early. I don't think you can risk that here at the season.
Your keys for the race today. Number 1, be in the right place at the right time. This is a track that can throw out a 100-lap green run without anyone even realizing, but it's also a track where if the caution flies and you need to stop for fuel, you could well be in position to win this race. Number 2, stay off the bump in turn number 1. And number 3, don't forget, the high line can work, but don't pinch, especially for the first 90% of this event. Well, ladies and gentlemen, so far it has all been about Tim Holgate. But he's not on pole position today. That's a 99 car of Niles Anders. The cars are now heading themselves to the start of the 3rd round of the 16th Street Racing League, and we are officially underway for 180 laps for the 3rd round of the championship. And well, we're going to see our first test there of turn number 1. It looks as though everyone, Aaron, is through without too many incidents.
Not without too many incidents, but so fast, Tim Holgate's going to take the top spot. So very quickly, Holgate back to the spot he has been all season long. And now it's Niles Anders going to chase. Is he going to pop to the inside? No, he's not content to run in second. But on that first lap, we had 4 wide in the middle of the pack. But give and take, that was awesome to see.
Yeah, we've got ourselves Brandon Trainer versus Brandon Trost right now. The battle of the 2 Brandons once again down to the inside. Goes to Steak and Shake car. We've got some smoke on the track. We'll give you an update as to who that one might be. But Holgate leads from Anders, then Cordell, then Troyes, then Trano. They are your top 5. Manifold is on pit road. Michael Peters is scored a lap down this event. Look at how close these guys are racing, as Trano will get himself past 2 cars now. He's going to go side by side with Vic Cordell into turn number 3 and 4 there, Paul.
And Brendan's on the attack early. He's trying to get Vic Cordell. He's still stuck on the bottom of the track. That's not a good place to be stuck for any length of time. You want to make sure that you want to use all the track, trying to be as gentle on the tires as possible. You could certainly make it work with fresh tires, but it gets a little longer. Look at this. He's making a move for second.
Yep. So Brandon Trano on the move early. We talked about this. Downforce. Do you want downforce for the start? Do you want downforce for the end? I think Trano is going to be in a hurry in that number 15 stake and shake car to get himself to the front of the field as quickly as he can. And this is a strategy we've seen before, Paul. If you can get to the front and check out, you're fine. If you get the tyres wearing in, and he's only got about 5-6 laps before they'll start to do so, and he's stuck in that dirty air, that car is going to become a real handful. As he goes for the race lead, down to the inside, Trano to the point as they work themselves out of corner number 3 and 4, down towards turn 1, 2 wide behind him as well. Brendan Troyes Stephen, once up into 3rd, and now we're going to see what Holgate has. He looks to the inside, they do just glance at Trano. Very aggressive at the start of this event, Aaron.
Yeah, Holgate went to the outside, and that's a place where a car isn't typically going to expect. I think they made a little bit of contact. Holgate's front wing, that's a question. Was there enough contact to Bennett as he goes to the inside? And after that close call, I think Trano's going to give a little bit more room, I would think. So, well, maybe I thought wrong. Holgate's wing is okay to the inside, and wow, Will, you said don't pinch until the last after 90%. I think these drivers heard you say pinch for the first 90%. This is intense, as Trost now wanting a piece of second.
Yeah, Trano versus Trano. This is for P number 2 and 3. Trano versus Trost even. Holgate has the race lead again. We'll talk about side-by-side racing as Alex Simpson has fallen down a couple of spots since the start of this event. He's right now working with PJ Sturgis. We are yellow for the first time today.
Big crash on the back straightaway. We have many cars involved.
Austin Espartee, Paul Jennings, Jack Turner, Joshua Chin, all looking as though they are out of this event. Paul, talk us through it.
Oh, well, just trying to take a look back at what happened here. I'm looking at Josh Chin's car, and it looks like Josh was coming around the turn. He made contact with, looks like Gary Borkenhagen, which sent Chin around. And he caught the wall and started flipping, and that was the 2 guys behind him just kind of haplessly ran into him. That was Austin and I think Nefri.
Well, looking at Borkenhagen's car, that dreaded bump we talked about has just claimed a bunch of cars. It looks like Borkenhagen's car caught that seam, caught that bump just wrong, and hopped just a little bit. He had no intention of hitting Joshua Chin, but he hit that bump. The car bounced and shot him up that quarter lane right into Chin.
Yeah, and there are certain points that the car will basically decompress. If you hit it at exactly the right point, you just use complete steering for a moment. These drivers, they will do hundreds, they will do thousands of laps there in testing, in qualifying, getting ready for these events. But sometimes all it takes is one line that's a little bit different. The front end of the car just has the air taken away from it a little bit, and you end up with a horrible end to your race. Christopher DeMerit, Tim Doyle is on pit road. You got Tim Miller, Mikel Dion, Brian Karseski, Randy Cosno, Jack Turner, Chad Simpson, Nefriarg, all are on pit road, getting service to their cars, in some cases getting repairs done to the race car as well. Paul, the important thing for the day though, Joshua Chin out of the race, and this will really now hurt his championship.
And this has been a horrible run of events for Josh Chin. He just cannot get any traction this year. Bad results all around, and this has just got to be infuriating for him to get caught out again. And it just looks like, looking back at this again, we were talking about the track temperature, 75 degrees, but there's a pretty stiff northwest wind here, and it's a bit gusty. It's been up to 18 miles an hour at times, down to 10 miles an hour. So you really kind of don't know what you're going to get when you get into the, I think Aaron's saying this is blowing right down the backstretch. So you're carrying that extra speed into 3. But you're also kind of, you get a little false sense of security when that front end is pinned down in turn 1. But once you get that crosswind, it's going to start giving up. And I think maybe Gary might have felt the front end lift up on him a little bit. Just looked like he drifted out. And then just enough to catch that bump, and that was it.
Well, we'll have a word with Joshua Chin in a couple of moments' time. Once we go back to green flag racing here. So that is your first big victim of the day. Scott Manifold is out of the event. He pretty much didn't take the start of this one. Paul Jennings is out, and Joshua Chin, Austin Espartee, both out of the race. 31 cars remaining in this lap. We've got ourselves 2 drivers scored laps down. That is Nefriarg in the 04 machine and Michael Peters in the number 3 car. As far as it goes out front, well, let's have a look. Those lights are still on the iRacing.com. First safety car painted up nice and gold for the month of October, Aaron.
Yep, and that's really neat to see that iRacing has gone and painted the pace car a special thing for childhood cancer awareness. So very neat to see. Maybe this will be the start of other initiatives for different months. But big news on the iRacing news page for those that would like to donate to the American Childhood Cancer Organization. So very neat to see, and must say it's a really cool paint scheme as well.
Yeah. It's been a while since we've seen a scheme look that good on any car, let alone the car that everyone hates being out on the racetrack. We'll have 15 laps out of 180 scored complete this time by us. We're about to get close to 10% race distance as those lights indeed now do go off on the iRacing.com first safety car drivers. Confirmation who pitted: Christopher Demerit in P number 19, the first driver off of pit road. He's made a stop. Matt Valesky has made a stop, as has Gary Borkenhagen, Bradley Waters, Kel de Jong, Tim Miller, Tim Doyle. Pay attention to that name. Brian Karseski, Randy Crosno, Thad Simpson, and also Jack Turner. So, the field's now in command of Tim Holgate. He has won both races so far this year. He's led 12 out of 16 laps so far today. And the trainer will start in P number 2, single file restarts here. Our first restart of the season. Trost is in 3rd. Niles Anders in 4th. Vic Cordell rounds out your top 5. Then Sturgis, Simpson, Miller, McClure, and Davis. You can see Treno's putting the pressure on, but a good jump there. Green flag back in the air. We're back to racing. Holgate gets himself a nice jump, and now it's the Treno versus Tro show for P number 2 and 3. And Niles Anders was slow there on that restart by some big margin, Paul.
Yes, Sturgios got caught, or rather, Anders got caught napping, and so did Vic Caudell. PJ Sturgios made a nifty move to the outside of Vic. He wasn't protecting the outside, and PJ made a move immediately around him. But it looks like that fight has started up anew again.
Yeah, having a look at Alex Simpson, he is down in P number 7. He's got Vic Cordell for company just ahead of him, as well as PJ Sturgios. Treno goes to the race lead. So Treno once again leads us motor racing. We're going to see a lot of this now over the course of this event. But Treno versus the driver of Tim Holgate, running themselves side by side. There is your crossover for the first time here today, Aaron.
And let's see if Treno can pull off the double cross down the back straightaway, use the banking sweep to the inside. That's textbook. Now can Holgate follow up with the triple cross? I don't think so. Treno got a very good run on the, off of the double cross down the back straightaway, but well, as we get down to this, we could have a lead change out of every corner as Holgate now goes to the inside. This draft really apparent here tonight. What a race we have going on. Holgate back to the point for now.
So these guys are swapping positions is what I was after there. As Holgate, he might. Oh, that was very close there. He's going to look. No, he stays in line for just a moment. And that's the sort of thing you sometimes need. You need one occasion of, it almost going out of hand, and then things will calm down. Let's have a look. Will Holgate try something there? Out of turn number 2, down the back straight away. Oh, indeed, he'll move himself down to the inside. Holgate will go back to the race lead, and now will Treno respond as we have our second portion of the day. Now, this is down. Gary Borkenhagen, free car incident, back of your field. Bradley Walters and Chuck Eisenbach. This one is down into turn number 3 by the looks. So let's get ourselves a second look at that one, Aaron.
Yes, it starts with Chuck Eisenbarth. Paul, you mentioned you don't want to be too low in one. That's exactly what happened, and he caught the bump. So the bump claims another victim, and the secondary incident, Borgenhagen slowed down, and unfortunately, The car behind him couldn't see it and just got him. That would be Brian Simpson who made contact, and another car decides to join in the fun, and that would be Walter. So 4 cars there, and very quickly the field gets depleted once again.
So we have ourselves Brian Simpson, by the looks of it, is coming onto pit road, or is on pit road. Just having a look here. Brian Simpson, yeah, he has put his car on towards pit road, although it does look as though there might be some damage to that number 2 IndyCar car. We should get a lot more people on pit road this time by. We've got ourselves Trost on pit road, PJ Sturgis on pit road, Eric Davis, Nigel Maneve. It's a busy pit road, but there's guys at the front, Tim Holgate, Brandon Trainer, Niles Anders, who are not going to pit here. We have ourselves a split G-Pole.
A very interesting strategy to be played out here by Holgate through Caudill, choosing to stay out front. I think their thinking is probably that they're going to see a lot more yellow before this settles down. So why get themselves mixed up in the pit action? On the other hand, now you're talking about 25 laps on these tires, which does not sound like a lot, but consider how these guys have been driving these things. You're going to heat cycle these tires. The third heat cycle you're going to put through them. They're going to start getting very slippery and very treacherous. You might find the back end of that field overrunning the front in short time if this goes any distance.
Good point. Good point indeed. We are joined now by Joshua Chin. No, we're not. He's left us. He's had enough. So we're not joined at this time by Joshua Chin. We won't make up any interviews this early on in the season. But, so, here's the interesting situation. Tim Holgate, Brandon Trainer, Niles Anders, Alex Simpson, Vic Cordell. They are staying out on the racetrack. Then, you've got yourself, Christopher Demerit has pitted. Matt Velsky has pitted. Tim Doyle, Tim Miller has done the same. Brandon Trost has pitted, as has PJ Sturgis. Eric Davis, some guys at the rear of the field, they have come in top off. So some of these guys have already made 2, maybe even 3 pit stops in this event. And Aaron, here on in, we're going to have to try and keep some form of math going on.
Oh my, it's going to be difficult. We usually have a split strategy, but right now it's been fractured into 3 strategies. We have people that pitted on the first yellow, we have people that pitted on the second yellow, and we have people that have pitted on the first and second yellow. So I said at the start, I'm going to stick with it. I do not want to be in the back. That's where both incidents happened. When you're back there, you don't control your own fate. The only thing that the people that have pitted have going for them, and I think this is what we're seeing, the humidity here today. It's very humid. The air is very heavy, 95%. I think that's why we are seeing this draft be so... I don't know if I've seen the draft be this strong. This heavy air is making... the lead car is... Well, the second car isn't pushing as much air as the first with this heavier air, so it's really bogging the engines down, which that draft gets amplified. So if you do pit and you have fresh tires, you're gonna, well, this phrase is used too much. I'm gonna use it. You're gonna feel like Superman. You're gonna be able to go anywhere on the racetrack you want and make the passes. 3 strategies. Which one's gonna pay out? I have no idea.
None of the above. None of the above. We've still got a long way to go in this event. At number 27 of 180, and those lights are off on the iRacing.com first safety car. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, that these guys have themselves the in-car tools that they can use. It's just got a Goodyear moment. They have got themselves the anti-roll bars, both front and rear. And then they've also got themselves the weight jacker as well. No push to pass on over races. It only applies to the races that occur on a road course. But that weight jacker, your anti-roll bar at the front and at the rear, can be critically important in the changing conditions of this event. And all the different drivers will use them in slightly different ways. Some drivers will prefer to balance a car with anti-roll bars. Others will like to use the weight jacker. The issue of the weight jacker, it burns out the right-hand side, specifically the right front tyre. If you use it too much, those guys at the front of the field who haven't yet pitted in this event will know that one. And expect some guys in the rear of the field through to the front. 28 laps scored complete as we are back to green here at Iowa Speedway.
And Tim Doyle got a great jump off there on Brandon. Brandon's trailing back a little bit. First 4 cars spread out quite a bit. Get back towards Vic Caudill. He's started up a fight with Christopher Demerit there for 5th place. And it looks like in terms of the front of the top 5, that's where our fight is right now.
That was our biggest lead of the race, but it is quickly closing in. Trano and You know, it's nice to see Holgate is not points racing right now. He's won the first 2 events and shown a lot of aggression, and you have to be aggressive here. If you start falling back through the field, you're not just going to lose 1 or 2 spots. You can go quickly from 1st to 12th really quickly, but right now a little bit spread out.
The thing about this racetrack is, it's not going to be like the High Line at Texas. He's not going to be pushed out there and then be hung out to dry. When we go to that track later on in the season, it's going to be very interesting, especially with the marbles. Whereas here, the marbles will become a factor in the next 20 laps or so. This crisscrossing that we're seeing right now, that might start to fall away, especially as we get ourselves, I'd say, into the second half of this event. But Treno leads once again. Holgate behind. Let's have a look down the field a little bit. Tim Dole scrapping out of PJ Sturgis. These are 2 foes, Paul, from 5 years ago doing battle once again.
Yeah, old rivalries never die, and here we go. These 2 guys know a lot about each other, a lot about the competition, and Tim Dole, very smart. Of course, PJ Sturgis, very smart, very aggressive. It looks like now they're going to run into a scrap that has to do with Ost and Caudill and Pileski, I believe. So now they're all oh, wow, all meshed up together. 3 wide down the front stretch.
That is close. Look how close this one is. They come down 3 wide. Turn number 1. They hold it together just about now. They're going to be 2 wide, 2 deep down the back straightaway. And on the outside is Brandon Trost. That car can run on the outside, can run on the inside. It is impressive. I would say one of the best handling cars on the racetrack right now. Trost working himself around the outside of traffic, now down to the inside. And the number 75 machine of Matt Pileski as he moves himself now back up into P number 7. Issue is now, those guys have a 2-second gap right now. This 4-way we've got going on between Alex Simpson in 3rd, Christopher DeMeritt in 4th, Niles Anders in 5th, and then Vic Cordell in 6th.
We'll see just how strong Trost's car is this time, which I do think he has a little bit heavier fuel than the cars in front. Trost runs a 16.6 to Vic's 16.7, so even though you have more fuel, you have the fresher tire. So as soon as Trost gets within about 9/10 of a second, he's going to start picking up that draft, and I think Trost within as very close behind him. Sturgis coming through the inside of Pileski. Sturgis is on the move so far.
Well, let's have a look even further down the field. You got yourself Dave Jinks and Kyle Hazer, of course, Indy Lights driver. They are scrapping for position. This is down P19, P20, P number 21 right now. You got yourself Randy Krosno in the number 10 machine. He is up in P number 19. Side by side, Dave Jinks battling out with Kaiser as they head themselves down. This is on the exit of turn 4. Oh, they make contact! May make contact down the back trail a bit. Well, they'll keep on going. Number 18 machine will just about be able to keep it together, but that car, that was very, very close there, Paul.
Kaiser trying the chrome horn technique here. I'm watching a little too much Paul Tracy, but oh, I see smoke on the track. I don't know what
that is Christian Steele. Christian Steele, we've got trouble on the racetrack. 2 cars involved. 3rd caution of the day. Terry Mattinson also involved in the number 22 Banciolo Sport Machine. Our 3rd caution of the day, lap number 42. And we've got to have a quick chat about this one, Paul, because seems to be we can get ourselves 14-15 laps in. We're not having this 1 lap caution situation. And this one, oh, Mattinson had nowhere to go. Hits his own teammate there. Then he ends up down and he just loses the car in turn 3 and 4. Mattinson hitting his own teammate in the rear on the exit of 2. And that was then a snowball effect, which ends up hitting someone as they head out through turn 3 and 4.
And that was an unforced error on Terry Mattinson. He just got down a little tight into turn 4, and you saw the back end just snuck out on him. I remember in they were complaining about this during practice that as the laps wear on, the car starts to get looser and looser. It looks like Nigel Murnif made a nifty move to get out of the way, but Christian Steele had nowhere to go and just got nailed.
Will, I think the battle we were watching as the leaders are in, the battle we were watching with Kaiser and company, as the tires heat up, that wind, where we were seeing them was where the wind would really start to get to the car, where it will act like a sail when they were really pointed opposite of the wind when it's hitting the side. That's when it was upsetting the cars, and I think that too might have been a factor.
Right, let's have a look. Pit stops. You got yourself Trano. He is going to be fighting with Tim Holgate. Who's going to come out of pit road first? It'll be Trano. Then it's going to be Holgate. So Trano will bring the field back to green here. Then it's going to be Holgate in second. Then Simpson in third. Anderson fourth. Demerit and is going to round out your top 5. Then you got yourself Trost, Sturgis, Doyle, Cordell, and Pavelski. They round out your top 10. Pretty much everyone came down on towards pit road that time by. But Trano is the one who comes out in front. Now, 2 drivers haven't pitted there at the front of the field, but they are scored laps down. That's Nefri Yarg in the 04 Snake Pit Racing car, and Michael Peters in the number 3 Peters Motorsports machine. Yes, Paul?
Well, something's going on with Tim Doyle's car. He's slow on the backstretch, kind of just coasting his way through 3. I don't know what the problem is with his car, but he is not keeping up. Yeah, we'll just get ourselves a look then. Trying to listen. Maybe he's got... Oh, no. Looks as though he's back. He looks as though he's back to it now. We are... Yep, he's back to running. So, there we are. He went back to the back of the field. I think he may have gotten a black flag.
That could well be the case, though. We'll keep an eye out. We'll try and figure it out for Tim Doyle. Lap number 45 out of 180 score complete. We're going to step aside very quickly. You're watching this, the 16th Street Racing League on IndyCar.com. We'll be back in just one moment's time.
What is it about speed? Do these rivals chase speed because they can? Or because they can't help it? IndyCar. The heart of racing. Go to IndyCar.com for live timing and scoring, upcoming race details, and to join the conversation.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to this third round of the 16th Street Racing League on Raceport TV. It's trivia question time, presented to you by Verizon. And we all know the Indianapolis Motor Speedway next year will be hosting its 100th event. However, after Indianapolis, which track has hosted the most Verizon IndyCar Series events? I'll give you guys a moment to think about that one. We'll come back to it and we'll go back to green. So we know that the Indianapolis Motor Speedway next year will be having its 100th Indy 500. Out of that, which track has hosted the most Verizon IndyCar Series events? We'll say of active tracks, just to make it just a little bit easier for you. And of course, active tracks might include tracks that may or may not be included in the schedule for 2016. Lights are off on the pace car. 47 of 180 scored complete. 2 guys getting the wave round. Aaron, fast place racing again. Everyone's got fresh tyres.
And I'm amazed at the people that were on the, what we call the third strategy, pitting on the most recent yellow, decided to come in. If all of them would have stayed out, they'd be at the front of the field and they would be controlling the race. But now we have everybody on the same page, which, if you are going to do a split strategy, I think you really got to stick with it. I don't know why you would pit then and then pit with the leaders. You're going to gain a little bit on fuel, but if you're going to go off strategy, you got to, I would say, stick with it.
Yeah. Well, that's always the thing. We talked about this last year. We'll talk about it again. It's been a hallmark of the 16th Street Racing League. So, and then Trano is going to bring the field back to green flag racing in just one moment's time. Here he is then. We are back to green. 47 out of 180 laps going to be scored complete. Guys heading themselves down in towards turn 1. Pavelski scrapping it out with Vic Cordell already. Simpson scrapping it out with Holgate already as they come down 2 wide in some cases in towards turn 3 and 4. Simpson on the inside there of Tim Holgate. Now, are we going to see ourselves Apex Racing moving towards the front of this field? Christopher Demerit is right there behind as well. We're going to get ourselves an incident. I think we're going to get ourselves a big incident soon. But here's the thing. All of a sudden, Tim Holgate is basically in what I like to call an adverse situation. As he goes down to the inside, Holgate wants a race lead. He wants to lead this one from the front. The reason I was going to say that, of course, we know Broken Arrow and Apex Racing have this technical partnership. 3 Broken Arrow or Apex Racing cars in the top 4 right now. They are going to be hounding that Snake Pit Racing car that started, of course, in P number 2.
a very lonely feeling for Tim Holgate with that many. And here comes Brandon Traino going to go over and under again. Let's see if Tim has an answer for that. Might be content just to sit back there. Tim's got to be thinking about, nope, he's not. He's going to go right for it again.
Whoa,
real close. They touch.
And that is going to be Brandon Traino. Brandon Traino is in the wall. Oh, we got ourselves Martin Miller. Big incident there as cars try to slow down. Caution is out. We got ourselves 4 cars involved. You've got yourself easily the drivers of Eric Davis, Martin Miller, and most importantly, the driver of Brandon Traino. And well, we talk about give and take in this series. Sometimes there's just a little bit too much taking and not enough giving. Get ourselves a replay. We want to try and slow this one down if we can. Figure out what happened. And that one, we're going to have to slow it down properly and have a look. See, because it did look as though that these two people are battling for the same piece of real estate. Brandon Traino and Tim Holgate. It's not often you have something at the front of your field, an incident like this, but let's have ourselves another look. Down to the inside goes Tim Holgate. And, was it just a little bit late there, Paul? Holgate down in towards that first corner.
It may have been. They got awfully close to each other. I think Brandon Traino was expecting Holgate to do something he didn't, and just got caught out with it. And looks like Traino's incident, he hit the wall himself, but towards the back, it looks like Martin Miller may have gotten into the back of a slowing Eric Davis and turned him around. That got Martin Miller going around. And then it looks like Randy Crosno got caught up in that. Another hapless, unlucky run for Randy Crosno.
Big incident there. That's got at least 5 drivers involved. You've got Brandon Traino. He has tried to bring that car on towards pit road. He's going to try and get some repairs. But the thing is, on a short lap time, he could fall laps down so quickly. Let's have a look then. Brandon Traino, that number 15 Steak and Shake car, is on pit road. And well, this is not what Traino wanted. He, of course, is one of the championship contenders for this series. Back wing is out of place there, Aaron. This looks to be a long stop, and if there's any suspension damage, we're talking about 10 minutes on pit road. That's going. Oh, he's out and away, 39.9 seconds. We don't know how damaged that car is. That back wing does look to be out of place, and on a track that you need downforce, that is going to really hurt the handling of this race car.
Yeah, I don't know how much speed this car is going to have. We are under yellow. This is a good indication. He got a feel for the car there catching up to the field, but this is going to be something, if we interview both drivers, they're both going to say they were in the right and the other was in the wrong. It looked like they actually made contact before the corner, which may have upset Traino's car just a little bit on entry. But if you go frame by frame, you can say both drivers were right and both drivers were wrong. However, it's lap, 52, 53? Why were they racing so... Well, you might have mentioned it, championship points, leading the most laps, but still, is it worth that little point to risk your whole season? That's something Traino's going to be asking himself.
Yeah, and Holgate was the one who was able to survive it. Traino, well, he is not so lucky. Lap number 56 then. Here we are of 180 here at Iowa Speedway. And just having a look, and... seeing now, we're down to 21 cars out of 31 that started. So high attrition area here. But of course, we always get ourselves from this bit a long green flag run. We've still got ourselves a long way to go. At least one green flag pit. So we'll bear that one in mind. Let's go back to our trivia question. Now, some people are very observant, and that's why I added the word active. If you to take all IndyCar tracks, then yes, indeed, the Milwaukee Mile would be naturally the one that hosted the second most IndyCar events. Of course, in that, we classify the USAC lineage, the kart lineage, the IRL lineage. Am I allowed to say that word? Who knows? But we count active IndyCar tracks. Aaron, give me a guess.
Active tracks that are currently on the schedule. Wow, of course, Texas ran 2 races for many years. Of course, Road America goes back, but they didn't start racing there, I think, until about early 80s. Kart days. Oh, man. I'm of the tracks on the schedule. I know I'm going to forget something here, but I know there's a. I'm going to go. I'm torn between Mid-Ohio and Texas. I'll go Texas.
Neither.
Well, just to clarify the question, we're talking about IndyCar events or events in all?
Anything that's in the IndyCar, USAC, Hearts, IRL lineage.
Oh,
sort of
okay.
thing.
I'm going to say Road America.
Incorrect again. It's actually PIR.
Oh.
Yeah. Phoenix International Raceway. Who would have thought of active IndyCar tracks? And of course, Phoenix is joining in the Verizon IndyCar schedule for 2016. I have literally just lost myself thing. We are back to green flag racing here. Aaron and Paul, I'm going to leave it to you for a second. I can't see a thing.
All right, well, to give you the race action, Tim Holgate off to another great start. Brandon Trost following close behind Alex Simpson, hot on his tail, and Christopher Demerit right behind him. PJ Sturgis about 2 car lengths behind from there, and Matt Polewski just close enough back there. Clean start so far on the start of this race, and it looks like Tim Holgate. Nope, never mind. Brandon Trost is going to make looks like he's going to make a move and go around. So here we go again, except instead of Trano, now it's Trost and Holgate.
Obviously, they haven't learned anything from Trano's misfortune, as now we are still battling just as hard as we did. Alex Simpson now going to try to take that second spot, which second spot was where he fought valiantly last week, but just couldn't get it done at the end. You know, he wants nothing more than to pass Holgate, if anything, just for the feeling of achievement after that great battle, perhaps the best road race we have seen in 16th race history. Kind of calmed down now, though, Paul, with Holgate up front. Prost, I think, content for now. No, as he pops to the inside, and he'll take it, but for how long?
Trost got a sniff of that draft and couldn't resist. Coming up on some slow traffic, very slow traffic. I think that's going to be one of the Banshee cars. I believe that's going to be Terry Mattinson. Way off the pace. Maybe want to consider taking that off. And meanwhile, Alex Simpson looks like he's
Eric
taking
Davis
a sniff
there.
now. And
been off at 2. Nigel Marneef spins out of 9th place. He's to the inside. I think we're going to stay. Nope, it does trigger the yellow. Nigel Marneef triggers the yellow, and wow, what a save. This is going to be an interesting thing. We typically do not see cars lose it on entry. He lost it on entry, tried to catch it, and one of the things, we talked about this bump, Paul. The other thing that can catch you out, the apron. Of all tracks that you do not want any part of the apron, Iowa's it.
Well, that looked like Nigel Marneef. That started just as soon as he turned the wheel to make that turn into turn 1, into turn 1, and he chased that tail of that car all the way around the turn and took him down to the apron. Once he got down to the apron, his goose was cooked. He was going to go spinning around whether he liked it or not. Doesn't appear to have hit anything, but something's going on with that car. I don't know if he got damaged earlier or not, but it looks like some action
I got to think
here.
one of two things. Either the slow car of Eric Davis made him react, and maybe because he was in a line, and as those cars turned to the inside, he would have then seen the slow car of Eric Davis. Or was it the wind? That's when you turn in. That's exactly when the wind is going to catch the car. So the way that back end, I think he was reacting. I think he took his foot off the throttle, and when you do that, you lose a lot of downforce. Weight shifts to the back. That's going to make the rear end kick around. And whatever the case, very lucky to still be in this race.
Absolutely, these cars set up right to the edge, and any little upset, as you were saying, just lifts up that rear end just a little bit, and it's off to the races. Did a great job trying to chase it, just ran out of track. So here we are under yellow now. Brandon Trost in the lead, Tim Holgate second, Alex Simpson third. Nobody's gone into the pits here except for
ninth on back. Kyle Kaiser on back, pitted. So once again, we are on separate strategies. Ninth on back have pitted. So almost half the cars on the lead lap are on one strategy, half are on the other. And the thing is, Paul, if you're one of these cars that are trying these, of course we know Marneef had to pit, but for everybody else, if we have another yellow in 15 laps, why is there that much tire degradation that you pit after 15 laps? Because if all those cars that pitted now stay out and all the cars that didn't pit, well, Brad Trost is all of a sudden in 11th.
You always count backwards. It's the Indy mentality. At this stage of the race, you got to count backwards. Because if you end up with no cautions from now to the end, and yes, it's not likely to happen, but this is sim racing, anything can happen. You're going to be that guy that, had the opportunity from that position to go and top up, and you didn't.
For the pitting under green here, you're going to lose at least 2 laps. So, yeah, I will concede that point. A green flag pit stop here is catastrophic because how often in the middle of a pit cycle does the yellow come out?
Yeah, always the case. As we are getting ourselves to the halfway point of this race. At number 67, just scored complete out of 180. 20 cars. The thing is, of course, we always expected on a track this small to have ourselves a slow start to this event. We've been racing now for, what, 45-ish, 40 minutes here, Paul. But we know that the next 100 laps can go like that.
Yeah, once these guys settle themselves down, we could very well see a long green flag run here. And I don't really know if these guys, I mean, they've done a lot of practice on this track. I was watching before we went on the air, and, you know, Alex Simpson did over 200 laps in an hour and a half. So he basically spent the entire time on the track. So a lot of work going into trying to figure out how this car reacts in traffic, trying to figure out how to make passes, what happens to the tires during long runs. And some of these guys have got it figured out. Some of these guys don't quite know. And the X factor, of course, is the track is not how it was in practice. Things are changing.
So, let's have a look at that iRacing.com first safety car. You can see at present the lights are off on it, and that means, oh yeah, we're about to go back to green flag racing here at Iowa. We said at the start of the show, we could end up having ourselves a stop-start race. We have had a stop-start race so far. We've not really had ourselves one lap, then immediately to caution. But then we could end up with a long green flag run. That could happen at any point. We've got ourselves there, Nefriard coming out of pit road, as out front it's Brandon Trost who will bring the field back to green here. Second place is Tim Holgate, third place Alex Simpson, then Demerit and Relski. They round out your top 5. We have got ourselves a total of 19 drivers on the lead lap. The last one of those, that is Jack Turner in the number 97 car. So let's have a look then. That pace car coming back down on towards pit road once again. 102 laps to go here at Iowa Speedway. It's time for a racer. Return to green.
And it looked like Brandon might have gotten loose getting on the gas there. A car shot to the inside of the track. I don't know if that was intentional or what happened, but it does look like he had to catch that car going around. But he did a great jump, and Tim Holgate trying to chase him down now.
Merritt looking as if he's going to try and have a look down to the inside there of his teammate. That is, well, not teammate, sorry, technical working partner of Alex Simpson on the exit of turn number 3 and 4. Much cleaner start here on this restart. You got yourself Tim Dole, Jim McClure. They are going side by side for a moment there. That's for P number 12 and 13. I think that we are going to see more drivers getting into a rhythm now. And what I'm going to look forward to seeing is how long that high line is going to last in this run out. Because I think this is the end now of these drivers going too wide, doing the crossover lap after lap after that.
I think they've actually learned their lesson after all these yellows. Remains to be seen. I'm looking, what we've seen so far, after about 10 laps, the handling really falls away from a lot of these cars. So, yeah, do you want to run the high line? If you run a little wider line, it's going to be a little bit easier. Maybe some of these cars are heating up their right front, and that's causing maybe some of these spins like we saw with Marnif. Very unusual spin. We were watching Kaiser earlier, the out of shape. We usually don't see these cars really be wobbly, loose. Typically they're glued to the track, but thus far it's been a handful for these drivers.
There is part of a reason why, and let's not forget, these cars are going to tighten up dramatically over course of a long green flag run. You know a car's going to tighten up. What do you do, Paul? You make it loose at the start. That's why you see these cars moving around the racetrack in the eye of the game. We talked about anti-robots. We talked about weight jackets as Cordell down to the inside and past the INX racing driver of PJ Sturgis into turn 1. We talked about ARBs. We talked about weight jackers. And that is why these guys, in the first 15 laps especially, hands on the levers, left-hand side of the car, maneuvering on the weight jacker, maneuvering even on the ARBs.
And you know, it's a fine dance when you're in there. And with the winds the way it is, these guys have to consider, whoa, traffic. Holgate's in there.
Oh my word. Oh my word.
4 cars piling in.
We've got Tim Holgate
coming
out of the event, and that, we talked about how IndyCar racing can happen so quickly. Well, he is still circulating on the racetrack. We are back to yellow, but let's get ourselves a replay then. Tim Holgate, what happened to to that number 6 machine. This was down as he was working himself, just poking himself to the outside there. Oh, there was a slow car, middle of the racetrack. That was Dave Jinks there in the number 76 Broken Arrow car. What in the world was Dave Jinks doing in the middle of the racetrack like that? We need to rewind the tape a little bit, but well, Paul, there's nothing there that Holgate could have done.
Will, looks like Dave Jinks just kind of went into the wall coming into 3. The car didn't turn; it just kind of was scraped along the wall. And when it got to turn 4, it came back down on the track doing some 80 miles an hour. And really, Tim Holgate he was at practically a dead stop. Holgate hits him going 100 and something miles an hour. I mean, really, quite literally, and he just did not see him coming until he hit him.
Right. At the time that this was all going on, Dave Jinks, the caution hadn't come out for Dave Jinks hitting the wall. That was a live racetrack, and I just had a look back at it again. You never come, I know he was trying to come on towards pit road, but Eric, you never come down the racetrack in a live situation. Yes, it was 80 miles an hour that he was going, but you compare that to the 150 miles an hour that these guys were doing, plus as they were working themselves through turn number 3 and 4. There's no way, especially in the middle of 3 and 4, if Holgate was to try and move at the racetrack at that late stage, he would have hit the wall himself. Nothing Holgate could have done, nothing Truce could have done. That one firmly on the shoulders of the number 76 machine, and that will probably get himself a penalty from race control.
Yeah, that's there's a lot of drivers that are going to be very unhappy. Demerit, and the championship implications of this also huge. That was a big impact. Reno is still on the racetrack. He's 1.5 seconds off the pace, but at the attrition rate we're going, might only have 10 cars at the end, but you never cross the track. It is much easier to avoid a consistent target than it is somebody trying to get out of the way. Because if you do try to get out of the way when they're coming across where they're going to go. Thing to do there would have been to slow the car down, turn the wheel into the wall, slow the car down, stop the car. Okay, bring the yellow out. That is fine. But what he did, I don't think he's going to be on the Christmas card list of demerit, Anders, Holgate. A lot of drivers caught up in one driver's error.
This championship is now wide open. If you're Brandon Trainer, you're thinking of what could have been, but of course he is on track right now. He's in P number 13. Holgate is on pit road. He has scored laps down. Drama here at Iowa Speed, and we knew the battle at the bull ring could well have been an interesting one, and it's been a race of unfortunate circumstances and of attrition. We still got ourselves 100 laps of racing to go, and leading this race was a driver who in 2010 was a runner in what was then known as the iRacing.com World Championship of Road Racing. It was held in the Dallara IR05, the driver who ran 2011 iRacing.com IndyCar Premier Series. He stepped away, and you know what he said to us at the end of last week, Paul? I've never run at this track in an IndyCar. Well, he's doing a good job because he's leading right now after 79 laps of racing.
Yeah, smart racing by PJ, and a good job of avoiding that whole fracas too. You know, it really looks like, and we've also lost Chris Demerit, another contender here, and so the face of not only this race, but the face of the championship potentially has changed here. You know, Tim's dominance ends. We're going to see a new winner this time around for this season, and it looks like PJ is driving a very smart heads-up race, and he's in a good shape right now. But, you know, let me talk about somebody else, too. Look who's in second place, our star of the day, Kyle Kaiser.
Yep.
He has just been a machine out there, just keeping it clean, just slowly working his way up, and, you know, very unremarkable. Just we're not talking about him, and here he is, second place.
Well, we're about to go back to green, but Kyle Kaiser, very new to the service of iRacing. But when you're a racer, you can hop in anything and be competitive relatively quickly. So, new to iRacing, but running up here at the front as we are about to go back to racing, hopefully for that 100-lap stint that you've been talking about. Indeed
so. As you've got ourselves Tim Dahl in third, keep an eye on him, because he well could be a factor in this race. Cars are right up behind the rear of PJ Sturgis. We go back to green. 81 laps scored complete out of 180. And now, let's have a look. These guys surely now must realise they can get themselves a decent point finish. All they need to do is bring the car home. There's a little bit of lap traffic here. some of these guys are going to have to get through. That is the 04 car of Nefri Arg. But yeah, I am right there. In the Pennzoil 04 machine. They have to pay attention to him. But Tim Donner right now, in my opinion, is the best chance to win this race. And the reason why, even though, of course, we're back out. And that's Alex Simpson. Alex Simpson, and that is with the number 97 machine of Jack Turner. And the Turner Motorsports car replay back up. Is that the turn number 1 bump hitting again, Aaron?
Yes, it is. And that is the same behavior that Gary Borkenhagen's car had in the same spot. It shoots up half the lane, and then it just snap oversteers. So I wonder, did that bump break the suspension? Because that's something broke on that car when he hit that bump. He hit the wall. And this has not been a fun day for anybody at the top of the points. This championship is going to be wide open.
Indeed. So we're going to step aside for a moment, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, sorry, Paul. But we are going to step aside for a moment. We'll be back in 1 minute's time.
Is it about speed? Do these rivals chase speed because they can? Or because they can't help it? IndyCar. The heart of racing. Go to IndyCar.com for live timing and scoring, upcoming race details, and to join the conversation.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to this, the third round of the 16th Street Racing League. It has been a day of attrition here today, and we really mean that, a day of attrition. Half the field's been involved in incidents in the first half of this race. We know Iowa Speedway is that track that if something happens, it's always going to be a multi-car incident, but the last one, well, that was a simple one. The one before that, of course, was the one we had ourselves, one of the craziest moments in the history of the 16th Street Racing League, when we had ourselves a slow car literally coming off the wall in turn 4, trying to find pit road, not realizing the race leaders were coming up right behind them. And that meant that now we have ourselves all the way down in P number 19, out of the car, likely out of the race. Tim Holgate, your championship leader, will not make it a trifecta of victories here, as it is now PJ Sturgis who leads this event. Run through your top 10. Sturgis leads. Kyle Kaiser in second. Then you got yourself Brandon Trost in third. Got yourself Tim Don in fourth. Pavelski in P5. Vic Cordell, Dean Mole, Jim McClure, and Nigel Marneve round out your top 10. So, we've got ourselves currently 17 guys circulating on the racetrack. We've got ourselves two drivers a lap down. They are Nefriark and Michael Peters. Nefriark has been able to get one of his laps back, as has Michael Peters. Peters, though, going to come in and top off on fuel as those lights are off on the ISO.com for a safety car. So Peters is going to come out. He makes himself a 7.8 second stop. He will need to make one more pit stop. He wants to get to the end of this race. If we say if, it does stay green. Of course, Nefriark He stayed out. He's trying to get track position here. Got yourself single file restarts, and that means you can see Nefri is right there in the middle of the pack. He's currently in between Matt Valsky and Vic Cordell. So that is one thing that some of these drivers have to pay attention to. Guys, out of position. Of course, Nefri is not afraid to race, and he has the right to move himself forward if that is what he chooses to do. Sergio, though, going to bring the field back to green flag racing. 88 out of 180 laps are in the books, and we are back to racing here, as it looks as though we've got ourselves Trout looking to go on the move quickly. P3 versus P2 in towards turn number 3 and 4. These guys need to start learning to give just a little bit more room there, Paul.
Yeah, and you know, here he goes. Brandon Trosser going right for the lead here. So, and PJ Wisely gives him a wide berth. It's not the time for this. PJ knows this. Kyle certainly knows this. And so, you know, if Brandon Trost wants to lead, let Brandon Trost lead, you know, unless these guys get a really good run on this. But here's the problem. Tim Doyle, Matt Pawelski coming up behind him. So Kyle's feeling pressure from both sides. Do you stay where you're at and risk getting run over? Or, yeah, and here comes Tim Doyle going to make a move on him.
Yeah, and this is the battle for P number 3 and 4. Doyle moves himself up into a temporary podium position. And now Doyle, I said, be wary of what he does next in that number 11 machine as they head themselves out of turn number 2 down the back straightaway once again. We are now, by the way, officially past halfway distance. It only took us an hour and a minute to get to that point, but the second half of that should be a lot quicker as we got ourselves side by side between Dean Mole and Jim McCall. That's from P number 7, P number 8 on racetrack. You got yourself a Grateful Dead car there, moving himself ahead of the iRacing Today number 27 machine. And well, we thought they were just going to keep it a little bit calmer. Not quite just yet, Aaron. Races are races, but we were talking on there. The experienced racers, people like Kyle running himself in that number 18 machine, of course, they know what it's like not to have a reset button. And of course, because of that, they have a slightly different mentality. Sim races, it's always interesting seeing that one out on the racetrack.
Yeah, that is a neat, really a neat thing. Kyle's new to iRacing. I believe this very well could be his first race, but look at him. Top 5. That's the real world experience, knowing what do you get running hard in the first 90 laps. Only risking a bent-up machine. Let everybody else do their thing, bang into each other, slam off the wall, let them fall by the wayside, and be there at the end. There's really, early in the race, what do you get? I mean, running for the lead, you can't get the most bonus points, but running hard for 13th, you're achieving nothing except burning your tires. You really have to work together, and when we were watching Kyle earlier in the race, when those cars were really a little unsettled, all 3 of those drivers were giving a lot of room. That's what we need to see more of, and that's a real-world professionalism shining through.
Yeah. As you got yourself right now, the driver Chad Simpson and Niles Andrews, they are actually battling it out to be number 11 and 12 on track as we speak. So there are still some drivers trying to move themselves around in the racing pack, and we'll have a look though towards the front of the field. Tim Doyle, PJ Sturgis, these two go well back in history. Expect them potentially just to stalk Brandon Trost right now. These two drivers are thinking one thing, Paul. Let's get myself just a little bit of fuel.
Well, you know, again, strategy pays off here. And it looks like Trost, Sturgis, and Doyle have finally figured out that, you know, this isn't the time. We're just going to have to ride around here. They've got quite a distance on Matt Pawelski and the rest of the group, about 2 seconds, it looks like. And
trouble! Kaiser is around!
That is P number 9.
And we got multiple cars. Nefri gets through, but we've got
Majmanif and
Caldell as well.
Yeah.
Contact on the entry to turn 3 is what precipitated this, and perhaps a little bit of commentators curse there on you praise a person and then a little bit of contact between McClure and Kyle Kaiser, and I get this very reminiscent of the incident between Holgate and Trano.
Yeah, so Kaiser out of the race in number 18 car, and what happened there was a secondary incident as drivers were just trying to spin to avoid another rear of Kaiser's cars, a bit that got the most damage while it created. It's front and rear. I don't think I saw it. It's what we call crab walking. So it looks like suspension is just a little bit out of shape right now. But out front, well, this really is becoming a depleted field now, Paul.
Yeah, this is carnage right now. You got pit stops going on. I'll let you call those when we can talk about it later.
Yep, so drivers are coming in. So you got yourself PJ Sturgis staying out on track, but Brandon Trost is on pit road right now. He's going to get himself 4 tires. He'll top up with fuel. Half the field come in. A couple of people out front don't. You got yourselves there. Coming out of pit road first, it is the driver of Tim Doyle in number 11 car. Everyone behind Tim Doyle came onto pit road, really. Brandon Trost comes out second in line. Then Pavelski, then McClure, then Mole, then De Jong, and then Simpson and Miller. You got yourself Vic Cordell. He's stuck on pit road right now. Kaiser is still on pit road. PJ Sturgis, Jack Turner, they didn't pit, Paul.
No, this is an interesting move by Jack Turner, who is not somebody we're talking about a lot, but he's trying to make a move here, trying to get himself up towards the front and see what he can do. Well, he's in the pits now, so I don't know why he took an extra lap to go into the pits, but here he is in the pits now, so never mind about Jack.
Yep. So Jack Turner is going to get himself fresh tyres, and coming out of pit road, you can also see there the steak and shake machine of Brandon Traino. Well, don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, the 16th Street Racing League is on all season on Racewatch TV, on iRacing Live, and on IndyCar.com. Next time out, we go back to a road course. It is the tough and challenging 2.25 mile Mid-Ohio sports car course. That will be in 1 week's time. Then, of course, after that, we head ourselves to the Milwaukee Mile. That will be for round number 5 of the championship. To round out your season, Road America will be road number 6, road 7 Pocono Raceway. Round number 8 will be Sonoma Raceway. Texas Motor Speedway round number 9. Watkins Glen International road number 10. Indy rounding out your season here. And there is one of those tracks which is the odd one out. I'll give you guys a couple of moments to figure out what that one is. One track of the 16th Street Racing League for 2015 is the odd one out. Figure out which one it is. We'll be joined in a moment's time by Alex Simpson here. He'll have a quick chat with us. PJ Sturgis still leads. Tim Doyle is in second place right now. So Turner did indeed come on towards pit road, but now PJ Sturgis is off sequence to the rest of your field. Alex Simpson is here. Alex, what a crazy day it's been at Iowa.
Manic out there. Such a shame. We had a really good car, running strong, felt quite confident, and yeah, just got the tiniest little bit of damage on the right hand side there. Couldn't get it repaired and hit that bump going into 1 after the restart, and around she came. Nothing we could do. Well,
it's been tough, and we always know Iowa at night, the laps just seem to click off, and it almost becomes as if you're in a trance. Just how tough is it to avoid incidents that are taking place on the track here? Because it seems to me there's one driver involved, there's 4 drivers involved.
Yeah, there was just no time to react there. I saw Dave coming down, and I knew that it was going to end pretty badly. And you know, I just darted to the low line, hoped for the best, and yeah, just got the slightest of nicks. But that's all it took for yeah, it was about 1 minute and 45 worth of optional, but must have had some sort of suspension damage there because, yeah, like I say, that big bump in turn 1 that just killed me when I hit it at full speed.
Well, next time out, we go to the ultra tricky Mid-Ohio sports car course. We know it's a track that you know. And it's a track that you potentially can be very fast at. Do you think you'll have anything for the fast guys on track there? Of course, you are a fast guy yourself.
Thank you. Yeah, I hope so. We've done some work there in the IndyCar in the past, so got a setup almost ready to go. So just maybe a few little tweaks based on the current build, and we should be good to go.
Well, good luck. Alex Simpson there, Apex Racing UK. Tough day for him. We'll see him at Mid-Ohio in 1 week's time. Pace car is on the pit road. 106 at 180 laps scored complete. We go back to green here as we've got ourselves Sturgis on a different strategy to Tim Doyle. Traffic in the mix as well. That means that for the first time, look at how close this is. Free wide at a turn number 2. These guys haven't yet learned their lesson. That one was insane. Exit at turn number 3 and 4. Trost was able to make the pass. Now down to the inside of Tim Doyle. We'll go to Matt Pavelski, and I think Tim Doyle's like, you know what? Have the position. Do what you want to do. 3 wide at Iowa. Aaron, just a little bit too crazy.
Yeah, at what point in time are these drivers going to learn that the yellow flag just hasn't been coming out randomly? Things create yellows. 3 wide creates yellows. I mean, I know it, you know it, they know it, that it doesn't end well, and yet, well, they keep trying it. Doyle back to the inside, going for the position, moving back up to third, but I do have to wonder, how worried is Sturgis? He's the only one on older tires and more fuel. If we go green to the end, what are we looking at?
And Aaron, I think that this might be part of the reason why he's going to make a move on Nefri, a lap car. But I think this is part of the reason why Brandon did this. He's on fresh tires. Oh, very close, very close.
Touch?
I don't know if he made contact.
Oh.
But he's trying to, on the fresh tires, he knows that PJ has older tires. I think Brendan wanted to make a play for the front early because he knows his tires go away pretty quick. So that might be why he's doing that. And here comes Nefri actually getting his lap back.
Yeah, so Nefri wants to unlap himself, and now here comes Brandon Trost. He wants to get to the race lead. He wants to basically move himself to the front of this train and upset the party for the Pendle number 04 car of Nefri. They're going to be 2 wide in towards turn 1. Nefri's on old tyres. You got yourself Sturgis on old tyres. They hold it. Exit on turn number 2 down the back. It's almost as if they're blocking out Brandon Trost for a moment there. Now Trost is going to look down to the inside of the 04 machine, coming down in towards turn 1. Will he get a 2-for-1 special? No, he won't, as they come down through that first corner once again. So Sturgis on old tyres. It does seem to be he can hold that inside line, the outside line, as he needs to for the time being. But of course, once those tyres go through a heat cycle, as we're back to yellow, that is Dean Mole, number 27 machine there, is out. So now this makes things even harder for, yeah.
Dean Mall actually looked like he was having trouble all through the race, and ever since the restart, he got loose at the green flag, and it looks like, again, he just took that turn into 1 bump. Here we go.
He lost at the same place Marneef did, right at the entry to the corner. So don't know if it's the wind or if people just missed the setup, but right as you really turn the wheel into 1, we're seeing a lot of snap oversteer. So maybe these drivers just missed the setup or trimmed it out too much, or as you said, Will, playing for the end game when the tires do heat up and get too tight. These drivers just don't have a handle on the newer tires.
Let's see what Sturgis does, because Sturgis is in a bit of a box right now in terms of what's going to happen next. But now you've got yourself most people coming on towards pit road, except for, no, it's just PJ Sturgis coming in all by himself, so he's going to lose a lot of time here. Brandon Trost will come in to top off as well. So this is where things get very interesting in terms of strategy. Let's see who wins the battle. Here's Sturgis and Trost side by side, and it looks as though it may just be, it's going to be Brandon Trost actually there. That's the second time today he's won big on pit road. Tim Doyle, Matt Pavelski, Jim McClure, Tim Miller, Brandon Trost are your top 5. We will stop aside for one moment. We will be right back. Mr. Hugo Louise, hit the commercial. ...118 laps out of 180 scored complete here in the third round of the 2015 16th Street Racing League. And if you like sim racing, and of course you like the real stuff as well, and don't forget, the 2016 IndyCar schedule is released. And you can go and figure that one out on IndyCar.com. What a season they have in store this coming year for you. And of course, we start off, as always, on the streets of St. Petersburg. That will be March 13th, 12:30 Eastern Time, only on ABC. And of course, coverage on ABC also of the 100th running of the Indianapolis 500. The entire month of May is on ABC. And then also the duel in Detroit, 4th and 5th of June. That will, of course, be the raceway at Belle Isle Park. NBC Sports Network providing coverage of the rest of the season, starting on April 2nd. The return to Phoenix International Raceway. As we just saw there, Nefriag has actually just finally gotten his lap back. That's an interesting point. We'll talk about that in a moment's time. Season will end September 18th at Sonoma Raceway. Kudos, Paul, to the guys over at IndyCar.com, Mark Miles and co, bringing back some legendary racetrack, Phoenix, Road America, and of course, the new race at Boston.
Yeah, a lot of excellent choices here. I'm glad to see Phoenix back on the schedule. I'm elated to see Road America back on the schedule. This is going to be a good year. I like the mix of tracks. I think we're going to see a lot of good competition here.
Well, we're going to go back to Green Flag Racing at the conclusion of lap number 119. These guys, we don't think make it on one more tank. It's going to become interesting. There we go then. Let's go and experience the sights and sounds of Iowa Speedway. We're going to go back to Green Flag Racing. Brandon Trace on the move. Let's listen in to some onboards.
Well, it looks like Brandon Trost is working on Jim LeClure again. So Trost, another man on the move, one more time.
Yeah, I think Brandon Trost is basically overtaking everyone there is to overtake in this race. And also, PJ Sturgis trying to go past Jim McClure as well, through in towards turn number 3 and 4.
Belsky to the lead.
As the number 75 car indeed does become another leader for you here today. As let's have a look, he's going to try and move himself to the inside. Actually, Kimdall will win that battle for the time being. Your top 5 drivers separated by 0.8 of a second right now.
And the crisscrossing with 58, 57 laps ago, I think the crisscrossing is, well, they haven't learned a thing. Right now, any car that is still running has a chance to win this. Trust to the inside. He's going to take second. Sturgis is going to come with him. Pavelski, second to fourth. May go all the way back to fifth.
Wow, and that's the thing. We talk about momentum being big in this track. Now McClure's in the mix. McClure, we haven't seen him in the top 5 at all on this race, but now number 9 machine has the chance to go for the victory. But here's the thing, at this stage, you're one of those top 5 cars. Some of them are going to be thinking, I want to lead this race. Some of them are thinking, you know what, you go and burn out your tyres, you just got to try and be in the right place at the right time. If I was one of these drivers, I'd drop back just about a second behind and just conserve your tyres a little bit, Aaron. Not much.
Second back. Now, the thing is, you can run faster in the draft, so if you fell too far back and these cars get a speed boost, do you think, oh, if we go green the rest of the way, will the amount that they stretch out, will you then have better tires that they'll be sitting ducks? Is that what you're thinking?
It is possible. Of course, the thing to think about, too, is while these guys are screwing around nose to tail, those tires are heating up. And the benefit of being a second and a half back is you've got all the downforce you need on the car. You can conserve your tires. So even though you are maybe not in the draft right now, these guys might start coming back to you if we get half a run into these tires. These guys might start coming back, especially if they start playing around again like they were. It looks like for now they might have settled it down, and I think they're content just to try and break away and get away from Chad and Nefri. But think about this. Nefri was a lap down not a minute ago. Now he's in 7th, and if we get another caution, he could be a contender.
Well, that would go down as one of the most memorable drives in 16th Street history if he could pull this off.
I'm trying to figure out who it was. Was it Zach Villeneuve, 1995, who came back from laps down to win the Indianapolis 500? If you have got lap traffic, is that the slow car of Dave Jick? Yeah, indeed it is, a number 76 car. Now, race control will surely be paying attention to that car.
That would be Niles Anders that just got
Niles
left.
Anders, sorry, that's it. That's the 99 car. The paint schemes are very similar there. But the number 99 car of Niles Anders, last lap at 18.6 seconds. Now, doing the math in my head, he is right on the border. Yeah, he's right on the border of what would be classified as minimum speed. Minimum speed generally accepted to be 110% of the leader's lap times. Now, unless Niles Anders can say that he's fuel saving, which I don't think he is, he may well be called on towards pit road to make some repairs or be pulled out of the car, Aaron.
And he's not the only one. Brandon Trano, 18.4. Dean Mull, 17.9. Tim Miller, 17.7. So we have a lot of, well, wounded geese out there circling around on the high side. If they stay out of the way and keep running the pace they are, I think race control will say it's good. If they start getting in the groove, then there's going to be, well, we've seen that once. Top 5 still content, nose to tail. I do want to say right now, the only driver that is saving tires is our race leader. Now, the more we have lap traffic, that goes away, but that might be a reason why we saw them really fighting for the lead. Because right now, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, they are burning their tires up in the dirty air. They're having to work the car more to get the same amount of downforce. So right now, Tim Doyle, unless 2nd through 5th is saving fuel and letting Doyle pull him around the track.
Well, I'm just having a look there. Last lap times, it was the fastest guy on the racetrack, Tim Doyle, but only 3 1,000ths of a second for the second fastest lap last time by was Nefri Arg. So actually,
3rd to the inside.
Nefri is close, as now we can some PJ Sturgios and first Jim McClure, and Jim McClure there! Whoa, that was close as they head themselves on the exit of turn number 3 and 4. The Snake Pit Racing car, as we've got ourselves Trost now to the inside, Paul.
Interesting move by Trost. And you see, Trost kind of took an early entry there and paid for it. That car pushed out on him, and Tim Doyle just jumped right back on him. So, you know, the tires that you had 20 laps ago are not the tires you have now. McClure discovered that when he tried to make a move and found his car sliding up the track. And Trost discovered that when we went in to try and make a move. Trost's going to try and make a move on the inside again here on Doyle.
Well, very good timing on Trost's part. He may have been waiting for 3rd, 4th, 5th as Doyle back to the inside. I think we're going to get the crisscross battle going on as Doyle has to lift on the bump.
Oh, there it is.
And he's going to lose 2nd Sturgis to the inside, but Trost was waiting for a battle behind him where he could try to take the lead and not risk losing positions. A very well-timed attack there.
I'll tell you one thing, laps have just gone quickly, very quickly here. Our longest green flag run of the day as they work themselves. Okay, they're going to have to pull Niles Anders' car off the racetrack. I'm sorry, that car is way below. It's only been 10 laps since they overtaken him there, Paul. You've got, if you're race control, Milcadino 2009 at this racetrack is coming to my mind right now.
And it gets more and more dangerous as these cars become more and more free with the worn out tires. These guys can't keep it down there. They can't keep it away from the wall. They have to let the car float out. If you've got a slower car up there, it's very possible you're going to find yourself spinning, slowing down, and getting hit, especially if you're nose to tail with these guys. So we're in uncharted territory in this race so far. These guys have not gone this long on these tires, and we got a lot of racing left to go on these things, and we stay green.
Right, your top 5 drivers are now separated as Nefri Arg has had himself, has he had to pit under green? I believe he has. So this is the danger of pitting under green, but this race can come back to him, and other guys have to come on towards pit road. The race will come back to Nefri. That last time by, 16.899, one of the fastest guys on the racetrack. Brandon Trost still leads. Your top 5 drivers now separated by 1.7 seconds. Brandon Trost, though, your biggest race lead of the day at 0.6 of a second, Aaron.
And for Nefri Arg, all these slow cars going around just represent a landmine. At any point in time, one of these damaged cars could have a suspension break, as we saw with Alex Simpson, which he was running fast times, and his car was just slightly damaged, but these cars are much more severely affected. So at any point in time, somebody could have an issue. I don't think we're going to see an issue in the top 5 right now, as this is the biggest spacing we have seen all race. And I think Trost was just letting Doyle. I think Doyle really had to run that car hard to maintain the lead. But you're right. Right now, Nefri Arg is running really quick times, and it could come back to him. One thing, we very rarely talk about green flag pit stops, but race control, very strict here. You have to pit off the back straightaway. You can't cross the double yellow lines in the corner, and you have to re-enter on the back straightaway.
Wow. And that's what really useful. And you look at the reasons why for that. You go back to the incident of the 76 car earlier on, Paul. You can't pit off turn number 4, especially at this racetrack, because essentially all it does is it just confuses and distracts drivers ahead of you, and it's so dangerous. Trying to go from 101. Let's have a look, see how fast Brandon Traynor is going literally right now. On the exit of turn number 3 and 4, building the speed up to 320 kilometers an hour in silly money. But to then slow all the way down to pit road speed, it's so difficult.
For you Americans, that's about 190 miles an hour. But you have to slam on the brakes in order to make that turn. Two things are going to happen. Either everyone's going to accordion behind you, or you're going to spin the car trying to get it off of turn 4. So race control very heads up saying, look, we're going to make everyone stop on the backstretch. Everyone's subjected to the same rules. And yeah, you're going to lose a little more time, but everybody is subjected to the same rules. So, no harm, no foul with everyone having to do that. But this just makes yellow flag pit stops and fuel conservation that much more important. Every second you don't spend on pit road is a second more on the track or more.
Indeed. As I'm having a look, and it seems to be we're getting some gaps here. This is what we've been talking about for ages. Traffic's going to become more complicated to get past. In fact, there you can see PJ Sturgis and also the driver of Tim Doyle struggling to work themselves through some traffic there. Now Jim McClure's going to have to do the same. The gap between P1 and P2 up to a second. P2 to P3, 1 second. P3 to P4, 0.25 of a second. And 7/10 of a second back to Pavelski, who rounds out your top 5. Just like that. Just like that, Paul. The gaps have increased as Pavelski on towards pit road from P5.
Interesting move here. Pavelski, I think, is feeling like this is going to be a green flag thing. Going to go in and top off, get new tires, and call it the rest of the race for him. And I think what you're seeing here is tire wear is starting to make a factor. Brendan Trost has put enough of a gap between himself and Sturgis from Doyle, where they're not really in each other's draft anymore.
I'm thinking back to Richmond 2009. If a caution was to come out now, we end up with about 4 cars on the lead lap. Pavelski out and away in 7 seconds. Compare that to the only other guy we know who came in for fuel recently, 8.1 seconds on Efriag. Pavelski should happily come out ahead on Efriag. On the exit of turn number 3 and 4, Pavelski is already on the exit of turn number 2. Merging back onto the track. We need to pay attention though to Efriag. See where he's going to be in relation to Pavelski, and that in-out lap that we were talking about. Well, it turns out that's going to be critically important, because it cost Efriag there 2 seconds. That's the difference between a top 5 and being scrounging at the rear end of the top 10 when all is going to be said and done in this event. And before we know it, we're on to 21 laps to go in this event. Trost still leads from Sturgis. That's a sign of things to come around. Everyone else has got to make one more pit stop.
Yep, and we have to look at the lap times. Right now, Pavelski handling traffic, so the lap times aren't reflective of his speed. But if he's 2, 3, 4 tenths faster than Trost is going to have to pit very quickly. Right now, Pavelski, fresh tires. Let's see what he runs this time, a 17.009. So, wow, maybe I don't know, maybe the lower fuel is worth it. Pavelski, this is going to be the true lap. This is the first completely clean lap he has. Is it faster than the leader? 16.8 that time by. I still don't think that's as fast. Sturgis ran a 16.8, Trost a 16.7, so they're still circling faster than what Pavelski is.
Yeah, and one thing that's happening as well is that the time between Trost and Sturgis last time by, 1/1000th of a second separating them, so nothing in your top 2 drivers. Tim Doyle's a little bit slower, a 10th of a second slower. Tim McClure, he is a further 10th of a second. Of course, there's one thing that we've not talked about yet, and that's that little knob inside the car, Paul, which will just turn your fuel mixture down. Of course, you've got your right foot that does that as well, but some guys might be thinking, okay, I'm 2-3 laps short, I'll try and make it. Would have had to have tried to make it, though, from the second that this race went back to green, though.
Yeah, the amount of fuel you save from turning that dial is not much, but it could make the difference. You find yourself a half a lap short, and they start talking to you about trying to conserve fuel. A combination of that dial changing the fuel mixture and judicious use of the accelerator, you can squeak it out, but it's a real high challenge in this car, and you really kind of have to know right ahead of time. Here comes Trost.
Trost then coming on towards pit road, so he's not going to be able to make it. 15 laps to go. McClure.
Spun it.
Oh my word! And is he going to be able to get on towards pit road here? That's cost him the win. That has cost him the win there. As Brandon Trost onto pit road. That is another game changer. And if this race stays green, well, that's it. He's probably going to come home in about P number 4. When all of a sudden, that spin cost him 5 seconds easily. Brandon Trost, and let's not think, may have even got an unsafe pit entry. We'll have a look on that one, because he might have just crossed the merge point. But let's have a look then for Brandon Trost. Is he going to get himself a pit stop as he will come out and away? 7.1 seconds. Why are these guys even taking tires? Well, Trost would have to have taken tires, of course, naturally. But he comes out and he's going to be behind Tim Doyle. Is he going to come out ahead of Matt Pavelski? Well, it's going to be close. In fact, he does just come out side by side there actually with Tim Doyle. Tim Doyle will just get past. And what that says to me is, well, Tim Doyle has made himself that final pit stop. Tim Doyle versus Brandon Trost is going to be a battle. PJ Sturgis, though, this is his race to lose right now, Aaron.
Yes, and Sturgis' team is saying Trost took the pit entry at 100 miles an hour. That was too fast. McClure took it at 85 miles an hour, a little bit more conservative, and he didn't spin it. He has a little bit of room to play with. There is no reason to risk the race on the entry. Take it easy. He has about, I would say, he can take it about a second slow, maybe even 2 seconds, and be in the good. With 7 laps to go, is he thinking about stretching it?
Doyle, we're getting word that Doyle half spun the car here. He's a little slow.
Well, there we are. Tim Doyle's out of this one then, trying to battle it out with Brandon Trost at the end of this one. Looks like that's going to be game over for him. Nars Anders, by the way, is on pit road as we speak. He's just coming out of pit road, actually, as we speak. PJ Sturgis has a 2-lap advantage over the field and less than 10 laps to go. Well, we know PJ Sturgis is good at this sort of thing. He has won big races before. Himself and his brother have competed in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing.com. 5 laps to go. The next time they cross the start-finish line, Paul, this could be interesting.
Stop.
Very, very interesting if he's got the gas to do it, but no, he doesn't. He's coming in the pits.
120,
so
this
he
is
will
fast.
not be
This
able
is
to make
fast.
Whoa, that was aggressive.
Perfection.
Aggressive.
Perfection.
Yeah, he gets into the lane though without any issues. So PJ Sturgis then going to bring that car. It's going to literally be a couple of seconds of fuel for him and he'll be out and away. He won't need tyres with 5 laps to go. He's got a huge lead over Brandon Trost. He basically just needs to get the hose in for a couple of seconds. He will be out and away. Let's have a look then to see what the pit stop time will be for PJ Sturgis. 4.7 seconds. This is his race as he works himself now past the cones, back out onto the track. Only thing he needs to make sure he does is merge and not spin. He has a huge advantage. He gets a wiggle though as that car trying to come back onto track as well. It's not as easy as you think on cold tyres. He's going to have to be careful for a lap. He's done this before in NASCAR. 4 laps to go, Aaron. Now he can breathe.
Oh, he got very close to getting a pit exit violation there when he got loose. Had that car entered the track, well, I would have hated to have been in race control and had to make that call, but with a 3-second lead, oh, that was very aggressive, Will. He really didn't have to be on the hammer that much.
Well, you say that, but of course, all you need, if he was 2 seconds slower, we'd have had an interesting scrap at the end. Jack Turner, by the way, on pit road. 7.8 seconds coming out of pit road. A caution at this stage of things will end the event. Sturgis going to get himself past 2-lap cars. 2 laps to go. 30 seconds worth of racing. He gets himself out of turn number 2. Down the back straightaway in towards turn 3 and 4. A little bit of lap traffic around him, but the white flag is out. There is 1 more lap to go. Tim Miller bringing his car to pit road. 1 lap to go. But here comes then PJ Sturgis down the back straightaway for the final time. That is the number 42 machine he works himself past. That is Chad Simpson out of turn number 4. It's going to be PJ Sturgis winning in the number 57 car. Sturgis, a winner in the 16th Street Racing League. Brandon Trost, after a spin coming on towards pit road, will claim second. Matt Pavelski rounding out your podium. Tim Don in 4th, from Jeffrey R rounding out your top 5. We had ourselves a total of 6 cars finishing on the lead lap. And well, it's been a while since we've seen Sturgis in an IndyCar victory lane. And this was the guy, let's not forget, who said, I have no idea what I'm doing for this racetrack. And well, I think he might have learned something from that NASCAR series he races in there, Aaron.
Yeah, he'll be like, last week he said, Iowa, well, I don't know anything about that, but after leaving Iowa, he's going to be like, yeah, that place is pretty tame, not that hard, but oh, what a victory. And I stand corrected, he did have to push it. With Trost having fresh tires, in 2 laps, the lead went from 3 seconds to 1.5. So Trost was coming, Sturgis did have to push. What a time to push. He had to nail that pit entry. That was about, I don't know if you could be any better on pit entry. The race, with everything that happened, it came down to that one. It's like a free throw at the end of a game to win the game. Sturgis had to hit it. He did. A smart race, a hard-fought race, and great win.
Well, let's have a look then at your final race results, ladies and gentlemen, from this round number 3 of the 2015 16th Street Racing League, where it's going to be PJ Sturgis claiming victory by 1.5 seconds over Brandon Trost in a crazy final 60-lap shootout here. Matt Pavelski will come home in 3rd in the Broken Arrow car. Then you got yourself Tim Don in 4th. Jeffrey R rounding out your top 5. Tim McClure, the last driver, on the lead lap. Then you got yourself Jack Turner for Turner Motorsports in 7th. And then you got Chad Simpson, Mikel de Jong, and Vic Cordell running out your top 10. Rest of the results then coming up on screen for you. Peters in 11th. Then you got yourself Dean Moll, Brandon Trainer, Niles Anders completed the race. Tim Miller, while his day ended at the very end. Then you got retirees Carl Casey, Nigel Marneef, Alex Simpson, Tim Holgate, Christopher Demerit. They round out your top 20. Then there's the rest of the results, and you can see big names outside of your top 20. Part of it all started with a big incident with Dave Jinks there, and that was down in about the first third of the race, taking out Tim Holgate in what was a crazy situation. Brandon Trano out of the race. You've got yourself also the driver of Tim Holgate out of the race. A championship picture. Very interesting after this one. You can see out the 35 cars that started. At the rear, also Joshua Chin outside of your top 30. A day to forget for him. We're going to step aside for just one moment, ladies and gentlemen. The Racer post-race show is next. You're watching Race Spot TV on iRacing Live and on IndyCar.com.
Yes, it all starts here. It's opening day for the Verizon IndyCar Series.
From St. Petersburg, Florida, new cars, some new faces, and an old, solid group of veterans and winners.
Get ready, stay with them here.
They call it the Valley of the Sun. They're running laps at 155 miles an hour.
Long Beach, California, a beautiful destination city with a huge sandy beach, great marinas, cruise ships, and once a year, the Verizon IndyCars.
The spectacular undulating Barber Motorsports Park, Indy Grand Prix of Alabama.
The acceleration begins.
The new champion of the Grand Prix of Indianapolis is...
Everyone wants to win. Only one will.
And with those millions watching around the world.
By the way, it's the biggest race of your lives, gentlemen.
Here in the Motor City, in the first of the duel in Detroit.
Business is picking up in turn 7 at Belle Isle.
And the green flag waves at Texas Motor Speedway.
All right, let's go.
Wheel to wheel at 210 miles an hour.
And Honda versus Chevy.
Green flag in the air. Sebastian Bourdais is the leader. In the core of America's heartland is a tiny track that packs a speedy IndyCar punch like no other.
Green, green, green.
Well, let's go racing in Iowa.
He needs a penalty.
This is Indy Toronto, and the green flag flies.
He's making a move, but he's going to make him go to the wet.
Deep into turn 3. And maybe too deep.
Welcome to the Buckeye State. Drivers, start your engines!
There is a giant crowd at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course.
All right, that's it. Excellent job, young man. Excellent job. You won Mid-Ohio.
The tricky triangle is definitely very tricky.
Look at this pack here. He's not giving him anything. That's how you're supposed to race.
Over Labor Day weekend of 2016, we will welcome and host the Grand Prix of Boston.
It's the Indy Grand Prix of Sonoma. It's the championship decider. It's time to bring the action.
Race fans, there they are.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Racer. Start that again. Welcome, everyone, to the Racer post-race show here on Racesport TV, iRacing Live, and IndyCar.com, where it was a thriller in the end for PJ Sturgis, but he's able to get himself victory here in the third round of the 16th Street Racing League. He's going to join us in just one moment's time. Oh, what a race!
Well, at the beginning of the race, we did say that carnage was going to be part of the issue, and boy, did it ever! We lost a lot of big names in this race, and the championship standings have definitely been scrambled up here a bit. Tim Holgate's reign has ended. PJ up at the top here. Big time championship implications here.
Well, PJ Sturgis does join us here now on the Racer post-race show, and well, PJ, I remember distinctly you telling me last week you had no idea how to drive this racetrack. Welcome to Victory Lane.
Yeah, I had no idea what to expect going in here, so I threw probably more downforce on it than anybody else out there just so I wouldn't kill myself, and not wrecking seemed to be half the battle tonight, so I was able to keep it in one piece and kind of played a little trick on Brandon there in the last stop and didn't take tires, so it was a handful those last few laps, but luckily I was able to just sneak enough ahead to pick up the win, so really awesome to do that in a league of these kind of drivers.
I'm actually having a look at your lap chart over the course of this event, and you know the last couple of laps seem to be inconspicuous enough, but the first part, my word, there's a lot of changing of positions going on in the first half of the race. Of course, you did lead some laps in the early stage of the game. You've been up and down through the field there. Just how tough has it been working in close quarter traffic? Because, of course, you get this in the NASCAR Peak Anti-Free Series. You don't get it at speeds that you get here and the proximity of racing that you get here.
Yeah, honestly, I actually have to throw back to my sprint car racing experience on the short tracks. That's pretty much just as fast-paced as this and a car that's much harder to handle. So I always say this to people, if you can race a sprint car in traffic, you can race anything. So that's definitely what helps out more than this. But of course, I also have to kick back to my F1 experience with all the aerodynamics and just the way the cars handle in traffic. So a lot of little different things kind of helping out to go fast in these Indy cars.
I'm actually remembering back to the iRacing.com, what was it, All-Star race that we a couple of years ago on PSR TV, and it was yourself and your brother so heavily involved at the end of that race in a sprint car at Milwaukee. Incredibly fun to see. Well, you win your first race of the season. In fact, it's your first IndyCar win in, I'm going to count years here. But next, we head ourselves back to a road course, to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Is it a track that you're looking forward to, or are you looking forward more to going to Milwaukee in a fortnight?
Actually, kind of looking forward to both tracks. Last time I ran this league, I won both of those, so kind of have that going behind me, but of course it's a different field these days, so they're both really two of my favorite tracks in the whole schedule, so definitely looking forward to it and trying to stay consistent here if we're going to go for the championship. So do what we can and keep digging at it. So I want to thank my team, NX Racing, iAnalyze Racing, and Lastro Motorsports for all their help spotting and everything, so thanks to them.
Well, PJ Sturgis there, coming home with the victory here on the third round of the 16th Street Racing League. Mr. Aaron Likens is stood by with the driver who came home in the second position as the racer post-race show continues with Brandon Trost.
Brandon Trost, it was crazy out there. Take us through your race.
Started sixth, I think I had the fastest car early on, even when Trano and Holgate were out there, but the way they were racing, you knew what was going to happen on lap 5 of the race. I mean, it was really obvious what was about to happen, and I just sat in third and waited it out.
A lot of humidity out there. We saw a lot of crisscrossing, a little bit more than normal. Was the draft more pronounced this evening than, say, other races here at Iowa?
Yeah, it was colder, and it just seemed like, the colder weather and the mostly cloudy skies, I believe, and it just, it really impacted how people were able to draft by you.
Well, have to go through probably the turning point of your race, the pit entry. What happened?
I've done that at Iowa every time we run it. I can't enter that pit road like that. I would have had to run it at 50 miles an hour if I was going to make it, and I probably still would have spun. Just something with the way I drive in that pit road do not work. I'm probably going to have to, before the next race here, do about 1,000 laps of pit road practice.
Well, you did take tires, and in the last 2 laps, you knocked the lead down from about 3 seconds to 1.5 seconds. Were you thinking, okay, if I get these laps, there's going to be a chance?
Well, what I was thinking is I need these lap cars up front to start going too wide and hold them up about 3 seconds, but it didn't happen.
Well, didn't happen. Second place, still an amazing run, and just finishing tonight seems to be an honor within itself. Who do you like to thank?
Well, Paul Jennings built this set. He's no longer with our team. He is now on Snake Pit, if I remember correctly, and I wish him the best of luck over there. I'd also like to thank Adam Dock for doing a little bit of last-minute adjustments for me right before the race.
Well, that's Brandon Trost. Might have had a winning car here tonight. Little spin, but only 1.5 seconds off the lead. Great effort. That second place, Brandon Trost.
Indeed so. As well, the racer post-race show is going to roll on ahead. We've got ourselves Matt Pavelski. He is going to stand by with the driver. I'm going to start again. Coming up next is going to be Paul Jenkins, stood by with the driver of Matt Pavelski. You got to ignore me here, Paul. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Been a long day for you, Will, I'm sure. But, hey, Matt, consistency. Looks like you just had to try and stay alive, and looks like it worked out for you. Take us through the beginning of that race when it was crazy up the front. You started kind of far in the back and just kind of slowly worked your way up. How did that go?
A lot of it was just pure dumb luck. I mean, early in the race, Chris and I just pitted for fresh rubber, get some more fuel in there, and just try to extend our range and just stay out of trouble. I almost got caught up in a few incidents, but for the most part, the goal was to just, try to stay behind the trouble or try to stay in front of it. And I mean, a lot of it was pure dumb luck. I mean, that wreck with, I forget who it was, off of turn 2, where Gary was involved, along with Brian. I lucked into avoiding that, and then that one off of turn 4 with the slower car, I lucked into avoiding that. So, I mean, a lot of picking my way through the field was just, luck, strategy. It wasn't really any, passing. I think I only passed 3 or 4 cars the whole race. So.
Yeah, a lot of carnage in this race, absolutely, and definitely those who can see far enough ahead and avoid the wrecks did very well. So a nice, consistent race for you. How does this make you feel going into Mid-Ohio next week?
I'm feeling pretty high about it because, I mean, coming into this week, I think I said it last week on the interview that, the goal for this week is to just bring the car home in one piece and try to, maintain your spot in the point standings. And I love Mid-Ohio. I don't think I'm going to win there. Tim and Alex are just really strong, so I'm hoping for a nice run there. But right now, just looking far out to the point standings, and I think coming off a strong third here with all the carnage that occurred going into a track that I like, I mean it should be a pretty nice wave to ride.
Outstanding, man. Anybody want to thank?
I got to thank Brandon Trano, Alex Simpson, Alex's father. I got to thank Broken Arrow, Apex. It's all those guys because they really were a big help in terms of strategy and setup and all that fun stuff.
Well, Matt Pawelski, a well-deserved third. Looking forward to Mid-Ohio. And Will, back up to you in the booth.
Indeed, and coming home in P number 4 is the driver of Tim Doyle. Tim Doyle is with Aaron.
Tim Doyle, a very, crazy race out there. Take us through it.
Yeah. I didn't qualify very well. I don't know what's going on there. I've never been a good qualifier, but tonight was even worse. So decided to start at the rear, just take it easy. I've kind of figured there'd be a lot of yellows and stuff, and just slowly made it. Made a couple strategic moves on when to pit, when not to pit, stayed out, pitted, just kept doing that. And eventually it got me into the lead right there at the end of the race, which almost worked out, but not quite.
Astros, this going to ask you, very humid there tonight. The draft seemed to be more pronounced than normal. Did you find that to be the case?
Yeah, and it was pretty arrow dependent. I mean, just a few clicks on your arrow would really make a difference on how much draft you could get, how much downforce mattered. I mean, it was very, very minute changes to make a difference.
Gotta ask, perhaps not the shining moment of your race. Great save, lap 170, got loose into turn one. We saw many cars do that tonight. How did you save your car?
Yeah, I was hoping you guys didn't catch that. Just good battling with Brandon there for the lead. I kind of pinched him the lap before, and it kind of messed me up. And then that time I made sure to give him room, and I just got too high on entry, and I knew it was coming, and I thought it was going to go around it. I saved it once, and then it came around some more, and then luckily I got it. But at that point, it didn't really matter.
When the racing was green, lots of passing, was it really intense? I'm talking about lap 140 to 170. Was it really intense, or when you were running with the top five, was that just good, fun racing?
Yeah, I mean, it was intense racing pretty much the entire race. I mean, I know there was a lot of yellows, but when it was green, I mean, all through the field, you could see that there was all these little mini battles, and I mean, the racing was really intense, and it was great battles all over the place. And definitely, once you get into the top five, it's a little bit different. You're racing a little bit harder, a lot more on the line, so that made it fun.
Well, fourth place here tonight. Who would you like to thank?
Yeah, I got to, thank the team. Tim Holgate put a lot of work into this, Niles and Vic, and a lot of the guys did a lot of testing, a lot of laps on it, put together a really good car. Paul Jennings was a big help this week. I want to thank my sponsors, Arizona Sports Shirts, 4M.net, GottaRace.com, Eldora Speedway, and you guys for broadcasting it.
Well, that's Tim Doyle, fourth place, a great run tonight. And again, anybody that finished has something to be happy about, but that's Tim Doyle, fourth place.
Indeed so. And finally then, on the Racer post-race show, we're going to have a word with the one and only, the incomparable Mr. Nefri Arg. And Nefri, it's been a while. How you doing?
Hey, I appreciate y'all having me on your little program.
Well, you came home P5 here today. You were able to survive in that Pennzoil car. At one point, you were down 2 laps, and you were able to get yourself back down to 1 lap down. Then we saw you racing it out with Brandon Trost and the likes of Tim Doyle. Got yourself onto the lead lap through strategy and worked yourself up. Got yourself past your good friend Jim McClure. Ended up getting yourself up into P5.
Yeah, I don't know how it happened. Well, you know me, I'm short on talent, long on lips, but all credit to the team. I mean, heck, you know me, man. I mean, I put my drink down about 3 minutes before qualifying started, went out there and just tried to stay out of the way. But you know how it is, brother. Once you get that bit in your mouth, I kept the pedal flat like my boy Vic Caldwell tells me to, and turned out well. I certainly appreciate Racer Magazine, all the Verizon IndyCar Series folks making this happen. That's a hell of a lot of fun out there.
Oh, yeah. Next time off, we head ourselves to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, which we know is one of the most interesting venues of the year. It's one of the most difficult venues of the year as well. How tough do you think it's going to be when we head ourselves to the 2.25-mile track in a week's time in Ohio?
Well, it's not that tough for the guys that are good at this. You know what I mean? It's tough as hell for me just turning left around in these circles. But like I said, we got a hell of a team here, and they all bust their butt to put a good setup on this car, and it's good enough here to get me through the field, but it takes a little bit more talent on those twisties. So we'll see what we got.
Well, before we let you go, Nefri, anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Just you, Will. I think you do a heck of a job on the broadcast, the whole team, Paul, and everybody. Like I said, man, iRacing, Verizon IndyCar Series, everybody at the Verizon IndyCar Series except for Brian Simpson. I really appreciate their efforts, and everybody at Racer Magazine. I think if we keep this series running the way we are, then we might get Marshall Pruitt out of bed to write some articles about us.
Well, keep that one in mind. Thank you very much, Nefri here. We're about to leave things to it here. But before we go, Paul, next week we go to Ohio.
Hey ho, don't you know Ohio? That is going to be an interesting track. It's a lot of fun to drive. I've driven it several times, and again, we're looking at another track that is technical in nature. Not a lot of great places to pass, but they're in the backstretch in that vast area after that slow right-hander. You know, we're going to see a lot of action there. A lot of people mashing that push to pass button. Mm-hmm. We're in for a good day.
Yep, and just very quickly, a little bit off topic, huge shout out to the Ohio State Marching Band, who Aaron flew from America's shores to London shores for the second NFL International Series game of the day. Seeing as we're going to Ohio next week, might as well give a shout out to the best darn band in the land.
Yeah, they are well known here, and nice of them to make the trip over there. When I was over in your neck of the woods earlier this year, well, I did see a lot of NFL fans, so I'm sure the fans there really appreciated it. The fans, as we had a conversation about the ones that follow American football, as you say over there, the ones that do follow it are passionate about it. So for those in attendance, that had to be a treat, or something that probably a lot of fans never thought they'd get the chance to.
Indeed. So we'll be back then next week. Don't forget, we kick things off at 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. I'm confused now. 8 p.m. 8 p.m. Eastern Time with Verizon Countdown to Green here on RaceSpot TV, on iRacing Live, and also on IndyCar.com. The race itself will follow exclusively live, and of course, as always, we will round things up with a Racer post-race show. Don't forget, for more news about the 2016 Verizon IndyCar Series, head over to IndyCar.com. This has been the Racer Post-Race Show here on IndyCar.com, and this has been the conclusion of the third round of the 2015 16th Street Racing League. We thought that this could well easily be a championship that Tim Holgate was going to almost win every single round of. Turns out, at the bullring, but to always think about the traffic. Congratulations to INX Racing's PJ Sturgis. The series rolls on to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course in just 1 week's time. For myself, Will Vinson, and Paul Jenkins, Aaron Likens, and Hugo Louise, we'll all talk to you next time. Good night.